Hey guys, how the hell are you? Probably wondering what I'm doing in front of you on your screens. Well look, I've been toying for the last couple of days about how to do these introduction videos. I needed to do two. One for PartTimeVandalz.co.uk, one for our sister channel, PTV-Studio. And I've been trying to split it up. I've just been sat down writing scripts, that's all this junk next to me, and I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do like I've done in every other corner of my life, and I'm going to wing it. I'm going to do it ad hoc, and we're going to come up with it as we go. So guys, PTV-Studio and PartTimeVandalz, what's it all about? With PartTimeVandalz, I'm going to start there, and you can find us on www.parttimevandalz.co.uk, the same on Facebook, the same on Twitter, YouTube. We've not quite got our personal channel name yet, but you can find us in the search bar, and we would really love your help to get past 100 subscribers so we can at least get the custom YouTube name set up and running. So, what's PartTimeVandalz all about? We are a small UK independent music studio. We specialise in bass music, so your drum and bass, that's where we came from. That was the core and our foundation. We're loving our hip hop. We make all kinds of bass and electronic music. Don't let that think for a second that we don't work with other forms. We work with every genre, artists of all age, colours, creed, religion, nationalities. It doesn't matter. If you like music, if you can play something that makes you tap your feet, we're the studio for you. We are small, we're independent, and we're UK based. We are incredibly passionate about looking after our artists and getting you the right product. We're also not greedy. Often we give our studio services away for free, which this leads me on to the most important point, social studio project. I've had a lot of bad times in my life, mainly self-made. I've made some idiotic choices and I've ruined some very good opportunities. This is part of the reason that we set the studio up. I got a lot of success very early in my music career. I got signed the first time I played a proper gig in a proper club and a proper sound system, and I then got a residency that lasted me 3 years. I started gigging up down the country and doing really well, but I was a bit young and I didn't have anyone ahead of me to guide me. So I made the wrong decisions. I partied too much, I started taking drugs, and things got messed up. In the end, when I was right at the pinnacle of about to break into the big time with my music, I'd got myself far too far into the partying and got myself in a mess and actually had to drop out of the scene completely for a couple of years. It took me getting very ill to wise up and turn my life around. But away from the negative, the positives, one of the things that helped me turn it round was somebody speaking to me that I'd not seen in years and saying, why don't you get back into your music, bro? And I didn't have the money for some studio time. I didn't have any of the kit back then. And I said, I haven't got it, I can't afford it, bro. I can barely afford to pay my rent. So he said, well, come to my studio. And he said, no charge, half a day. You what? Sorry. So he's given me this half a day. And the first thing it did was gave me some confidence back. It is a skill. If you have a skill, you are good at something. Don't feel guilty about believing in it, guys. And it lit a fire under me again. And from there things snowballed. I got my confidence back, I really started putting everything into my music, and that's led to the next stage where we've started PartTimeVandalz off as a business, but the social studio aspect. Because of what happened to me, I'm passionate about enabling people to get into the studio. We work with professional audio on a daily basis. We're now editing video and we're designing web spaces. So we have an ability to work with people who want to explore those careers, those industries and those hobbies. And so for the first point, what we're doing, we've got a hashtag registered, it's #MonkeyMafia. If you use that hashtag, every single week people who are using the hashtag, who are coming on board on our social channels, could even be that you want to comment or critique some of our music, post some of your own music so others can critique, have a conversation, find other people in your local area you want to collaborate or work musically or artistically with. That's all we're asking. There's no cash involved, there's no cost, we just ask for a few minutes of your time and hope that whilst you're chatting to other people through our forums that you'll be able to find stuff that you enjoy, be it music, be it tutorials, unboxings, reviews, or just people with a common mindset and a common interest that you feel comfortable talking to. So, anyone that's using the hashtag and active on our sites, once every single week we'll be giving away 8 hours of free studio time. Now, that's current as from today. Next week will be the first time we're going to pick somebody, and next week will be the first free day of studio time. Now, we'll be vlogging on all those free studio days, introducing you to the artists. The only catch, because you're bound to think there must be one, well, yes. We hope that you will be successful. We hope you will go on to commercial success. We would love to continue the journey and represent, mentor and manage you going through the journey. But even if you choose to move on, because you're not bound to PTV, what we ask is if we're good enough to give you some mentoring, some time, some coaching, the access to the studio, then please do your bit to push us forward as well. If you get some success, mention us when people ask, where did you produce your first record? If you start gigging, if you know other people who are into music, then just pass the web link along. That's all we ask. Just give a little something back, or maybe offer an hour of your time to help another musician who needs a guitarist and only sings, for example. There's many ways you'd be able to help each other, and that's what we're more about, guys. We've invested in the equipment, we've invested the time in training myself and my staff, so what we now want to do is invest in you guys. So all that takes, all you need to do is come on board, start talking to people, meeting people and making some noise through PartTimeVandalz.co.uk or the Facebook site. So, next, Scrooge's Studio. One thing we've learned over the years, DJs, artists, video makers, producers, photographers, it's always the same. If we are the lucky ones that get made, so either we get signed, we get a tune do really well, we sell some images, we get cast to do a video for somebody and get paid good money, then we can often afford to buy really top flight fancy kit. But in this YouTube day and age, all of us, myself included, probably spend far too long looking at technology porn on the internet. I would love to have a 16 core 32 Threadripper. I would love to have an RTX 2080 Ti to play with, but unfortunately we don't. What I've sort of anecdotally worked out over the years is that we spend 90% of our careers with 10% of the budget. We then get 90% of our budget in the last 10% of our career generally. Because if you think of myself or any other musician, for example, at the point at which they first get signed, they've got an entire life's worth of work, information, stories, things to write about and create from. They normally only have a lifespan at the top of the game, 10, 20 years. So for me, I'm 34. The likelihood is I've already done most of my work, and it would just be a case of performing it, packaging it and putting it out there. And I'll probably be doing that at some point if we're really successful on top flight equipment. But in the meantime, we all have to get by on a budget. If you're a guitarist, your money's going to go on your guitar, on new strings, on going to see other guitarists playing in gigs. You don't want to spend £2 on an expensive PC to record on. Similarly, if you're a DJ, you've got £5 worth of stuff in your decks and your mixer and your mics and your speakers. So where are you going to find another £5 for a top of the range workstation? You're not. So, Scrooge's Studio. Specifically, we're in the UK, so we're working in UK pounds. Now, that doesn't change the advice you're going to get from people like Linus Tech Tips, Jay's 2 Cents, Gamers Nexus, Bitwhip. All these kind of people on the internet will give you good advice that's totally valid. But they're very well off people who live on the other side of the planet, buying and sourcing their parts through a different market with different prices in the used components. So we're going to focus on the UK and Europe specifically, what we can buy and source parts for here. Not only for the price, but also for the availability, because there's a lot of stuff you'll see on the North American channels that we just can't get over here. So we're going to be looking at 3 things specifically. Workstation Workshop. We're going to help you guys firstly identify your specific workload. Now, what that requires you to have in terms of technology to back this up. Now, I am talking about computers specifically here for a minute. So we're going to help you identify what you need. Once you know what you need, we'll look at the options that are available to you. We'll help you pick out the best ones. Then we're going to teach you how to source, buy, and actually use these things well. So, for example, so you know I'm not blowing smoke. There is no £20,000 brand new workstation in here. I'm running the channel, editing and rendering out videos at 1080p 60 frames per second that were originally captured in 4K. And I'm doing this on a 12-year-old workstation, guys. They cost between 5 and 7 grand when they were new. I got it for 250 quid and I've been using it for quite a few years. Now, we are in the process of some running upgrades to the system, and this is part of what we're going to be vlogging about. We're going to be benchmarking along the way and letting you guys know how, from our real world use case, whether we can or we can't still use our 12-year-old system in 2018 right now. Because when you read the forums, I'm looking at putting, well, let me tell you about the machine first. It's a 12-year-old HP XW 8400. When I got it, it came with dual Xeon E5345s running at 2.3 gig, both quad cores with no hyper threading. It came with 16 gig of DDR2 ECC HP specialist memory. It also came with a Quadro 600. It's got gigabyte networking in there. It's got an onboard RAID controller and a few other bits and bobs. Now, I used that from when I bought it about 5 years ago until 6 months ago. if I'm completely honest, I've never had an issue mixing down 200 individual tracks of 32-bit floating point audio at 96k. Never blinked, not an issue whatsoever. I use some of the biggest and most demanding plugins, and will often have audio inputs and outputs shooting off all over the place, but it's never even flickered. Absolutely fine. The old Quadro 600, it's only 1 gig of graphics, but it runs two 1080p 60Hz monitors, absolutely fine, and it also drives my projector when I need that as well. However, this year, as we started editing much higher resolution films of much longer duration, we are starting to notice that we needed a slight upgrade. So the very first thing that we did, we went from the E5345s up to a pair of the X5365s. And in fact, this is what we're going to follow through in the next video. And the final one, which I know you guys on YouTube are mad for, is going to be unboxings and reviews, but these again are very specific. What we're looking at is truly good, workable, everyday driver type stuff, but that will be a very, very cheap alternative to industry standard products. So again, in video number 3, which is unboxing review number 1, we're looking at a 4K action camera. We're looking at in-ear stage monitor headphones, which you can also use in the studio for under £50 with an amazing sound quality. We're also going to be looking at a number of other options, including mobile audio interfaces and ways to use your standard studio equipment like dynamic mics on mono 6.3 jacks with mobile phones when you're recording out live. So guys, that is a bit of a ramble and I apologise for that. We are here, we are live, PartTimeVandalz.co.uk and Scrooge's Studio. Also our first vlog on the workstation system and exactly what you can do with a 12-year-old workstation today in 2018. Because when all these reviewers tell you they're obsolete and you should buy a new one, not right guys. Socket 771 is alive and kicking and is editing this video right now. So keep it Part Time Vandals, keep it Scrooge's Studios. It's your boy Tom, Ninja MC. For now guys, peace.